The last part we need to talk about for preparing our hives for winter is about this little fella, the Varroa destructor. Hi, this is Ray from Honeytop Bees. The last thing we want to talk about as we talk about getting our hives ready for winter is mostly the Varroa destructor, but other pests that can be inside of our hive as well. So we've already talked about the importance of properly spacing your hives as far as how much space they have inside of them. We've talked about the importance of nutrition in overwintering our bees. And the last thing I really want to encourage you to is to make sure you understand the importance of addressing the Varroa mite at this time of year. And here's how it works.
Hi, this is Ray. When you hit like, subscribe, or leave a comment, it really helps me to build my channel. So thank you so much.
As your bee season goes on, your bee population hits its peak around the same time as the nectar flow and immediately after the nectar flow because they have a lot of resources coming in. But as we head into fall, we are going to have a decrease in our colony population. But as the bee population is declining, the Varroa destructor population is at its all-time high. So the Varroa destructor in January is going to probably be its lowest levels of the year because there's very little brood for it to reproduce on, and that makes it easier for the beekeeper to combat the Varroa destructor with things like the oxalic acid vaporization, and so they can keep our mite level super low. But as the brood increases, so does the Varroa destructor. So we hit this time in the fall where our bee population is declining and our Varroa mite population is increasing. And so you're going to see your highest levels of the year in the late summer or early fall. And why it's important that you address the Varroa destructor at this time of year is because if you're going to overwinter your bees successfully, your bees need to be healthy. And if there's parasitic mites that are on your bees that are eating those fat bodies and are spreading viruses inside of your bees, then it's going to be more difficult for your bees to overwinter, and you can even lose your colony completely during the winter months because you didn't address the Varroa destructor. Now you say, well, it's not winter yet, and it's not winter yet, but here's the important thing is your bees right now in the early fall are making bees that are going to overwinter for the next 5 months. So spring bees will typically live around 5 weeks, but winter bees will live 5-6 months long. And so it's at this time of year that we have to make sure our bees are super healthy and free of viruses because these are the bees that are going to overwinter. But if our colonies are virus laden because of mites, then it's going to be difficult for them to overwinter and you can lose your colony. I know personally, just full confession here, I have lost colonies just especially earlier in my beekeeping journey because I just really didn't spend enough time addressing the Varroa destructor. If you are a beekeeper like I'm a beekeeper, we have no choice but to be also a Varroa mite manager. And so as you get ready to overwinter your hives, my last encouragement is that you deal with the pests inside of your hives. And the first one is the Varroa destructor. There's another video you can see on my YouTube channel about my favorite ways to treat for Varroa, as well as the importance of testing for Varroa and the whole more detail about the life cycle of the Varroa mite. You may have some other pests inside of your hives, and that would include perhaps the hive beetle. My little hive beetle here is missing one of his antennae here. So these are also going to be at a higher level during this time of year. And so you need to be paying attention to that with hive beetle traps, crushing these. If you have any frames that you see any hive beetle larvae on, you definitely need to take them out and freeze them and keep your hive beetle population down as much as possible. And you're also at this time of year going to have more wax moths inside of your hives. And so you're going to need to be combating that as well by destroying those cones that you may see inside of your hive, taking any frames out that you see any wax moth evidence on and freezing them for 24 to 48 hours. And then also managing the space inside of your hive, making sure that your bees are not having to defend too much space. And so what I mean by that is if you have 2 boxes that are covered with bees and then you have 1 or 2 boxes of empty drawn comb on top of it, it's going to be difficult for the bees to be able to defend all of that space because there's not enough bees inside of the hive to defend that. Now earlier in the year there might have been enough bees, but as your population is starting to decline for overwintering purposes, you need to manage your space by pulling off that extra space, those extra supers that your bees may not need. So if you have a small fall flow in your area of the country, then perhaps you wait a little bit longer to see how much space that the bees might actually need. But you're definitely going to want to manage the space in order to keep your wax moths at a minimum. So this is the third part. I hope you'll watch all 3 parts about overwintering your hives, and so that you'll have a successful overwintering experience and that your colonies will be ready to go in the spring. Take care and God bless.